We are live. So welcome everybody to the Real Estate Exam Study Group. And I have a very special guest, Jasmin Luke, with us. Jasmin was in one of my Honduras classes, and I'm so happy to announce she passed her test on Saturday, right?
Yes.
She's excited. So Jasmin's going to go over all the pros and cons and everything that she learned through her journey of studying for her test. Going to she just did it on Saturday, so this is super, super fresh. That's why we always have people on. So we're going to talk about that right after this. Welcome, Jasmin. It's so good to see you. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on. We're going to discuss a little bit about a little bit about you and some things that helped you pass your test the first time, so you can let other people know. So first and foremost, tell us a little bit about you, like where you live and how do you have any time to do studying on real estate? Because you're busy. Sure. You're a busy person. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm out of Reynoldsburg, and I'm a caretaker for my father. So when I got into school and I got into school back in September, I believe. And so a lot of things were taking place, and he ended up having cancer. Mm-hmm. And so school and all my thoughts for that kind of went in the back burner. And because he was, what they would have considered stage 4 for his prognosis. And so it was super intense. And so I did end up finishing school. So as my father was going through what he was going through, and I'm also a mother and a wife, and I also work part-time during the day. So add on all those other stuff. I was like, I have to get school done. I have to finish school. So I hurried up and finished. I was in class, and the classes that I missed, I did it online. So I finished that up real quick. And then it was test time, and I was extremely nervous.
Yeah, you were.
I was extremely nervous. I always felt like I did horrible in tests. Like I always felt like I always failed the test, no matter how hard I studied. I never seemed to. I guess I'm just not a good test taker. And so, and I feel like that I don't always capture everything the first time. Like some people have good memory. I need to several different times. So I took the test Friday and I passed it. So I was extremely excited about that. But I will tell you, I got this book. I was given this book to me. So PSI Real Estate Exam. And this book is amazing. So it's just a condensed form, I feel like, of all the books.
Okay. So how much did that cost? Oh, that was given to you. Is that what you said?
This was actually given to me. I mean, I'm supposed to pay for it. I'm sure they'll charge me, but they haven't yet. But I think it was like $8 or something. So I don't know. So
$8. And where did you get that, Jasmin? Where did you get it?
I got it from Carlton Realty. So they gave it to me.
Okay.
So yeah. So this was to help me pass.
Okay.
And so it's Dearborn Real Estate Education.
Okay.
So that one more time. So anyways, so it was really great. And that helped me a lot. And then going through videos, if you there's videos through the computer, through Hondros. So watch those videos. So I had to do both. I had to do do all three, I guess. So I had to do in class. I had to listen to the online teachers or the instructors online. So even the saved videos that they have, that helped a lot.
Can I pause you? So I'm going to pause you for a second, just to make sure everyone's following you. So I obviously did in class because you were in one of my classes. You physically went there. That was it. Okay. And then you did live stream, meaning were you at home on Zoom listening to a guy like me talk, or were you just watching pre-recorded videos?
Pre-recorded videos.
Got it. Okay. All right. We call that online. Video. Okay. Got it.
Sure.
Online.
That way I could go back to it when I needed to go back to it.
Okay. Did you
So
double dip? Did you
I did
go?
some.
Okay,
Yep.
all right,
I
got
did
it.
do some of that. Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you're double classes basically on certain topics.
I did
Okay,
because I just needed the more repetitive, the more I retained. And
yeah,
that
I
was, I think,
understand.
the biggest thing for me is the repetition of it all. So,
Mhm.
I did some of the books when I followed along with the teachers and stuff. I did that. I didn't always go back to reading it though. But
Okay,
then when I got this book, I did solidly like read it. And so yeah, I did solidly read. I did some of the grammar, the
okay.
CompuCram.
CompuCram. Okay,
I used the
and
CompuCram as well.
okay, and
So I did
folks at
a
home.
lot of different things, but
Okay,
they weren't like all at one time either. So they were like months separate. Like, when I was in school and focused a little bit, I had that time. But then when my dad had his cancer, we found out about the cancer.
hmm
It it was like no focus at all.
right. Okay,
So it was a little here, a little there, everywhere.
got it. How did
Now,
you get?
go ahead.
I'm gonna. How did you go from? Because this happens a lot. I talk to a lot of agents that are like, "Oh, yeah, I started in August," you know, and we have one that started last August and still hasn't sat for the exam. And it's like, okay, you got to do this. Like, what you got
Mm-hmm.
to, you can't drag it out. But that happens. Life happens. So let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
how did you? Because you had a lot on your plate plus some extra family issues. What would be a good word of advice for people? Because everyone has an excuse, right? And
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of them
Oh
are
yeah.
legit, but you do owe it to yourself to get through this. So,
Mm-hmm.
how did you get refocused? Like, how did you say? Did you wake up one day and say, "You know what? I got to do this," or what happened? You know what I'm saying?
No.
How you got
So
refocused because
I'll
you took
tell
a
you
break.
what.
Yeah.
But people kept me accountable. My family, my friends,
Okay.
they kept me accountable because I let them all know this is what I want to do. And I will tell you right now, I give all the glory for what has happened to me to God because
hmm hmm
I felt like when I started this journey, this is what He wanted me to do because He
Okay.
had put it back in. He had put this desire in me like 10, 15 years ago. And I never thought I could do it. I didn't think I was good enough to do it.
Okay.
And so fast forward now, He put those desires in my heart again. And everything fell into place for me as far as when I called Hondros to take the test and that I had the actual money to pay for it full force the moment I found out when the class was. But then, so they reminded me all of these things, but then I kept saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I just didn't like my mind was saying, you're not going to do it. You're not going to remember.
Oh, you were doubting yourself.
I was totally doubting myself,
hmm
total doubt. And
What
so
changed? What changed
I,
for you?
what changed for me, well, first of all, I kept saying it. I kept saying, oh, I'm going to. And I started to get very disappointed in myself for not finishing this. I had to think about the money I spent, the time I
hmm
spent.
Okay.
I had to also incorporate, hey, all these people know, like
hmm
you blabbed your mouth out to people. You better get this
Okay.
done.
Yeah.
And so that
You put
that is
yourself
what
out there. Mhm.
it was. Listen, I had to really talk hard on myself
Okay.
because the like nobody's gonna tell us really because they want to be sensitive with us,
Right.
but I was like, I got to get this done. And
Mhm.
then I think the biggest one for me, my dad doesn't even know this, but I remember telling myself, I want my dad to at least see me do this. And so,
Yeah.
not to get sorry, I think I was
No,
gonna get
no, it's okay.
emotional, but that was one of the things that I remember telling myself, I want my dad to see me be a real estate agent, you
Okay.
know. And let me let everyone know that he is healed from cancer. He
Oh,
no
that's
longer
great.
has cancer.
Mhm.
So I mean, he went from stage 4 to stage 0. So he has no more
That's
cancer.
crazy.
But that was like I had to find things that would motivate me, and I had to remind myself like why I was doing this,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
So
that's good. We got it. And everyone at home, we're live, and we have. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section because we can see them live. So, um, but we have a lot of praise gods. So there you go. Look at that. We got some cards out there for you, Jasmin. So okay, so I guess let's go for it. Did you take it online, or did you
No,
the test at home or at the testing center? Probably Groveport, right?
I did Groveport. I went online. I did Groveport. So I knew because I was so nervous about it. And I said, all right, if I listened to one of your talks with one of your people, and he said he went to the testing site beforehand to make sure. And you were like, yeah, go. You want to know where that testing site is. So when you go that morning, that's one less thing you have to worry about.
Did you do that?
I did that. I went a couple of days before. I was like, okay, because GPS told me a little bit different from where it was.
Yeah.
And so that would have flustered me that morning. Like,
absolutely.
Go to you're already nervous.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So go to your testing center the day before or the weekend before. Know where you're going. Walk up to the door. I've had agents that said, yeah, I walked in the testing center and said, hey, I'm taking my test here tomorrow. Is this where you take your real estate exam? And they'll say, yeah, you're at the right place. And then they walk out. And that's, you want to do that, guys. It's important. I mean, if you can, we have agents that are coming from out of town and gas at $5 a gallon, right? Sometimes it's not economical to do it, but if you can do it, because it makes a huge difference of confidence to when you show up the test day and you're like, yeah, I know where I'm going. That's not a worry. You're focusing all that energy on your test. So, okay. So good job. So
I did that in 3 days. I gave myself 3 full days to just solidly focus on the test prior, 3 days before.
And what were you studying? What were you studying those 3 days, Jasmin?
I studied this.
Okay.
And I did some video. And that was it. The morning of, because I don't know why, but it happened this way and it worked out perfectly. I had not studied the commission portion of the test. So the state test part. Okay. Now this has some of the state part, like we're talking about, but not the commission part, not the Ohio state, the board and all that, not that part. So I left that for the morning of. Okay. That's it. I studied that part the morning of. Now, granted, I had a little bit from the year before, a little bit that I had from there, but I hadn't really remembered much of it at all. So the morning of, I got it. My testing was at 9:00 in the morning. I said I was going to be there around 8:00 so I can sit there.
Okay. So you went an hour early.
I went an hour early.
Did you study in the car or did you go inside?
So what I did was I got up at like 5:15 in the morning. I took a cold shower. I mean, I washed my hair in cold water.
This is PG rated, Jasmin. This is.
Oh man, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, people, do this.
Cold shower. All right.
I took a cold shower because they said that it opens up everything. It helps your brain. Okay. So I was like, all right.
You're giving yourself every edge.
Oh, I am. And I went to Starbucks. I was at Starbucks by 6:00. Okay. I gave myself an hour and a half, 1 hour, 45 minutes, went to Starbucks, and then I studied this. So the Ohio real estate specific. And all I did is I just read the chapter 2 is what I read in it. Okay. That's all I did. That way it was fresh in my mind because I figured that would probably be really difficult for me because I already knew I knew everything else to it. So, but that first portion of it, I was like, let me read that. That way it's fresh. And I took the test. And I'll tell you what, y'all don't know this, but that testing center is intense. Okay. Don't take anything inside with you. take your ID card and your keys, and that is it. They will give. They are so serious. I was scared to breathe the wrong way.
Makes you nervous. How many? Let's ask this question. How many math questions were on the test for you? Do you remember?
So I didn't really study math.
Okay, that's smart.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah,
because
I agree
you
with
will
that.
spend hours on it, trying to get it right, and it's pointless. And you still might go and get it wrong. So I'm gonna say, I feel like 5 or 6, maybe. I could be wrong, but that's how much I remember as far as math is concerned. Because that's when I'm like, oh,
Yeah, no, that's about right.
That.
The lowest we've seen is 5. The most that we've seen is 10. So to say 5 or 6, that's probably about right. I know you don't have the numbers in front of you, but that's probably about right. So let me ask you another question. I hunt everyone at home. She said it exactly correct. Don't spend a lot of time on math. It is so intimidating. You can spend so much time on it, and it was only 5 or 6 questions. So the next question is this. How many of the 5 or 6 questions were like, oh my gosh, I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. Does that make sense? Like, they were so hard that you were going to fail it anyhow, even if you studied for years. Was a lot of them pretty easy?
Yeah. Some of them seemed pretty easy. And then there was definitely one that I remember that I could not get the answer no matter what I tried doing on it.
That's one.
So I was like,
okay. And that's it.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's just one question.
Right.
Who cares? Right. You failed it. You failed that question. It's not a big deal. It's all about like spending time, being efficient. And so one question. So Jasmin didn't study much at all in math. Not much, right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She had about 6 math questions, which is about average. And one of them, it was so hard, even though she didn't study much at all, but the other 4 or 5 were fairly doable.
Yeah, they were fairly doable.
Yeah. So like, don't over stress on the math part, guys. I can't stress that enough. You're going to miss 1 or 2 math. You just are. It's just going to happen, but you don't want to waste so much time on those topics because they're not weighted very heavily. So
right. And while I waited outside, I did study. I kept reading. And you know what? There was this one portion in the Ohio Real Estate Specific Grammar book where it says where there's the set of rules that most people fail at. And that's what I read last. So I made sure to read that last while I was sitting in my car, because since it already let me know that that's what most people failed on, I was like, that is what I'll read last to keep it retained in my memory for that moment. And they opened up at 8:30. So the testing starts at 9, but they opened up at 8:30. So like if you're ready to go, instead of anxiously waiting in your car, you could go beforehand.
Yeah. And sit and wait. Yeah, I know that was a dumb question, but those are practical questions, because some people might say, can I even study in the building? Or once I walk in, they sit me down ready to go, so but yeah, you can do either or, whatever you're comfortable, especially now the weather's been nice, so you're not in the car freezing. We do have a question that just popped in. It says, Jasmin, can you talk a little bit more about the state portion? Commission, please, if you remember. So do you remember there was what kind of commission questions were on there on the test? Remember?
Thanks
for the question.
Right. I'm so sorry. I don't remember what they asked on the commission portion of it. I think once I saw the pass, everything left my brain.
Yeah, well, it should. You won't be going back to it anymore.
So hard, and it was so intense. Let me tell you, it's so intense. And then they take a picture of you, and that was very it's stupid, but it was so distracting that I had wished I had asked for a sticky so I could put it over my picture, so I didn't have to look at my picture as I was taking the test.
Oh.
But I mean, I'm the type of person, I get distracted by little things. So they also have earplugs for you. So use those earplugs just so you feel like you're by yourself.
Yeah.
In there.
So you're not distracted. So earplug. Okay.
Right.
The question was, they expanded, and I'm sorry, I didn't have your name up there, Facebook user, but it says, I'm asking, was it math? So the question was, Jasmin, if you can remember, and I'll pitch in a little bit, was the commission questions that was on the test, was it math? Do you remember the math questions? Was it like you sold $100,000 home, your commission split was 3%?
Yes.
How much was your okay.
Yes, they were. And be very careful, because I caught myself. Make sure you read those as simple as they look, as short or long as they may look. Double, triple read those questions and dissect it as fast as you. I mean, you got to go at it a certain speed, but they have a timer on there that you click that timer, you can see it. So it doesn't have to stay covered up the whole time. I uncovered that timer so I could pace myself. And so make sure you read every single question and you're not racing anybody. I was, probably fifth in there, and I was last to leave. Like there was someone brand new who came in probably for a different test or the same test, but they came in a couple 2 hours later than the rest of us. I was the last to leave. Like, take your time, use it all up. I went back. If I was unsure about a question, like really unsure about it, and I'm like, I know I missed that one, I made sure I answered something. I clicked on that check mark to say you can go back to it, so to go back to it. And when I had like 5 minutes, if I had 5 minutes left on my timer or 10 minutes left on my timer, I went back. I went back to those questions I was really, really unsure about, so I could double read the question again. Because, sometimes our brain needs to refresh. So when you leave something, you come back to it, you can see it more clearly. And that's what happened.
Well, and sometimes there's questions, and we got another question popping in for you. Jasmin, you're popular today. You got a lot of questions. So because sometimes when you check mark it, you're saying, hey, I'm not sure what this one is, I'll go back to it. That sometimes, like several questions later, you'll be like, oh, hey, like that was the answer. I remember that was when I was confused on, and you can go back and you got the right one. So do you consider yourself, I'm going to ask you a quick question. We'll hit this question from the audience. Do you consider yourself a fast test taker or a slow test taker?
No, I am very slow.
Did you have plenty of time to take the test?
I had plenty of time. Okay. Matter of fact, and you know why? Because when I took the crammer, everybody was done but me. And I had like 10, 15 questions left from the crammer. Okay. But I had that timer in front of me, and that's what helped me to pace myself.
And that was the question. I think you just answered it. It says, did you take the crammer at Hondros? Okay. Not the CompuCram. So you physically went and took the crammer, right, Jasmin?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or did you do Prep Agent? And are they comparable? You didn't do Prep Agent, right?
What's Prep Agent?
It's another like online study group test. So, the crammer was something that you probably already paid for, so you weren't going to double pay.
Yeah. I almost considered doing something like a Prep Agent or buy more quizzes, and thankfully I couldn't access it for whatever reason, because I really just didn't know it. But I'm telling you, get this book, this PSI real estate exam.
Okay.
Amazing.
We'll look it up. And who was the maker of it?
It's Dearborn. And they also have because when I took my crammer, so when you take the crammer, they really give you tips on how to take the test.
Yeah,
and that's
I
the
think
biggest thing.
grammar is important. Super
Yes,
important.
it's like how to take the test. And
Mhm.
I'm not talking about there,
One thing I like about PSI is their online study questions, guys. They since it's from PSI, it looks exactly like your test. Hondros has a really nice, really nice study. What do I want to say? Like CompuCram. It's called the CompuCram, and it's really nice. It's blue and turquoise. It has logos, and it's really pretty. The state test is not pretty. It's more white and pretty basic. But the one thing I think is an advantage is that the PSI, like their online study questions, is just like the online test. So it's kind of like you test drive a car before you drive it in the race, meaning you kind of know where the little timer is, where the buttons are located, because there is a slight learning curve. When you sit down, you're nervous. And then like it pops up and you're thinking, okay, where's that check mark button so I can like get back to that? And you're kind of like trying to learn how to navigate. So that might be, and I think the PSI is $50, I think. So exam. So I don't know. It might be worth it. And I think it's not because the information's better. I think it's just the fact that you can kind of test drive what the online test is going to look like, when you sit for your exam.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely.
Tip. So, all right.
Can I give one more tip?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it will really help. Yep. So my biggest thing is I didn't want to be like super nervous that I couldn't think straight. That's why I went beforehand. I was trying to eliminate everything.
Yeah, you did it all right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So when you sit, you do feel that you may feel a little intimidated once you go in there of how serious they take it. They don't want you cheaters. I mean, they even talk about cameras in your glasses. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's how serious they are. Oh. Right. So they allow you to take a pre-test, which is totally stupid. It's just making sure I think A, B, C, and D. Mm-hmm. But they give you instructions on what each button is. And I did that. And I did that solely to slow down my heart rate. I said, let me take my time and concentrate on, and I wanted to make sure I knew how to use each button because I didn't know how it was going to play a part in me getting this test done on time. I wanted to, I try to be as strategic as I possibly can. And so that's what I had done. So like, take your time. You're not racing anybody, Yeah. I had coffee and I had something like a bagel beforehand.
Yeah.
Because once you're out of there, you probably burnt so much sweat and that anxiety, whatever. You burnt calories and then you're gonna be hungry when you leave.
Yeah. Yeah. And go to the bathroom before.
Yes.
Kind of basic stuff. Yeah. Just so you're not now you can take a break between the state and the national, but if you need to, you can't take it during. You can't be during the test and say, "Oh, I got to go to the bathroom." You can't do that. You got to wait, and that wait could be 2 hours. So so make sure you do
take that break when you finished the national. Purposely step away from the computer, go use the restroom, get a sip of water, and then go back. Because you're like allowing your brain to reset for a second. Good. And then you go back and you sit down. Like I would encourage that. So
well, good. Well, thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the questions. We had a lot of good questions today. So, but thanks for watching. Jasmin, again, thank you so much. It was great to see you.
Thanks, Adam.
From class to passing a test and passing it forward. So, and anyone at home, when you are getting ready when you pass your test, I hope you jump on and help. So, with that being said, thanks again, Jasmin, for joining on. Thanks for watching this interview on the Real Estate Exam Study Group. Make sure you like and subscribe on Facebook. And if you have any questions, post it in the group chat. And thanks again, Jasmin. And we will see you guys all next time.